The MRI comes back, and Steph Curry does have a grade 1 hamstring strain. The good news is not a grade 2, not a grade 3. We should see him back in these playoffs, hopefully sooner rather than later, but he has been ruled out for games 2, 3, and 4. How are the Warriors going to survive?
I think we all want 30 back. That is for sure. And until then, we can hold down the fort. I know we can.
Playoff Jimmy. That's how.
You are Locked On Warriors.
Stop trying to turn the page on us so fast.
Your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
We got 4 championships.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Every team has a chance if Steph's on the team.
Your team every day.
What's the good word, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors, your daily podcast for Golden State Warriors coverage. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Ways that you can check out this show: YouTube, go ahead, give us the thumbs up, subscribe. You can also check us out and take us on the go wherever you get your audio podcasts. Just search Locked On Warriors on Google or wherever, and we will definitely pop up. My name's Charlie Walter, formerly at 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area. That's the flagship station of the Golden State Warriors. Also cover the team on TV for CBS News Bay Area, call letters KPIX. One of my co-hosts at 95.7 The Game, the block is hot. Shomari Block joining the program today to break down some dubs. It has been many years. The last time we broke down Warriors basketball together, Dante DiVincenzo was on Golden State, and now he's on the opposition, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we begin with an MRI that comes back showing that Steph Curry has a grade 1 hamstring strain. He will miss games 2, 3, and 4. He'll be evaluated in a week. The hope is that the Warriors can somehow win one of these next 3. And somehow is a stretch of a word. Just win one of these next 3. And 2 of these games are going to be at home. You'd feel pretty good going into game 5 if you could get Steph back in a 2-2 tie. But here's the thing. Without Steph, the remainder of these playoffs, it's finito. Like, you're not going the distance. You're not beating OKC. You're not beating whoever comes out of the East. You're not beating Denver if they're the representative in the Western Conference Finals. But when it comes to Minnesota, with Jimmy Butler and the Villagers and a defense that's become one of the best in the NBA, I don't think it's crazy to say that the Warriors aren't in a terrible spot, up 1-0 right now, Shomari.
I mean, I think they're in a great spot. Let me rephrase that. I think that given Steph Curry having a grade 1, so fun fact, just really quick, in the last 12 hours, just because I saw the headline, I become an expert on hamstring strains. Anyway, you would think that they're in about as good a situation as they could possibly be in because they won game 1, man. I don't know that, for instance, if this was down 0-1, Steph Curry's gone, they're playing the next game in Minnesota and things were different, then okay, you might be a little worried. It's like you said, winning one game, that would be the dream. But I still feel if Steph comes back, they're down 3-1. You have Steph Curry. They beat this team 3 out of 4 times in the regular season already. They beat them 1 game without Steph Curry. I think you can feel pretty good about that.
I'm just not sold on Minnesota, man. And I know so many of the national media and just people that watch this show, whatever it may be, everyone's terrified of this squad. But I go up and down the roster. I feel like the Warriors are able to play physical enough with Rudy Gobert to where they can neutralize him. And he's not going to go Wilt Gobert like he did against the Lakers when he had that just ridiculous stat line. Julius Randle's always been a pretty favorable matchup against the Warriors, it seems, and he didn't look amazing in game 1. Naz Reid's tough, man. That's someone that can beat you. But again, this team played 8 players. They played very heavy minutes. Anthony Edwards had some issues, was relying on that jump shot a little too much. Once he started taking it to the bucket, it was a different story. But the Warriors had some answers. You know, they brought in a player like Pat Spencer who gave him good minutes. They brought in Jonathan Kaminga who gave him 13 solid minutes off the bench. Kevon Looney gave them great minutes. So when I look at the Warriors, and it's always been this way, their role players are very slept on, underrated. The coaching, it's hard to say that a 4-time NBA champion and 9-time NBA champion, for that matter, when you add up all the rings, is an underrated coach. But like, he just gets the best out of all his players, it feels like. And Pat Spencer's the perfect example to where he can just point to him off the bench. Hey, Pat, I know you haven't played consistent minutes in 2 weeks, but why don't you come on out here and let's see what you bring to the table. And usually it's pretty effective. But forget all the role players. Buddy Hield, obviously, is a huge X factor. Brandon Podziemski is a huge X factor. At a certain point, math comes into play because the Warriors scored 99 points and Buddy Hield had 24 of them in the game. You get a dud from Buddy, then it's like Moses better go off or Peyton better be knocking down three.
Sorry to interrupt, but you're also forgetting 20-something points from Draymond Green, who made he made 4 3-pointers. He went 4 for 5 in the first 5 shots. Then he went 0 for everything in the next 5. But you got 20 points from Draymond Green. See, you're saying that, you can mix, you can match, you can do that. But at the end of the day, which of those feats are repeatable? Buddy Hield, I could see him scoring in the 20s without Steph if he's taking more shots. I do not see Draymond Green scoring 20 points.
No.
Ever again. Ever again. I don't see Anthony Edwards going 0 for 8 from 3-point or even taking 8 3-pointers when the shot's not falling because, like you said, he can get to the cup anytime he wants. He's Ant-Man. He slashes. He blows past you and he's, boom, like that. He's at the rim laying it in.
Yeah, but here's what I look at. One, it's 1 of 7 from Podziemski. It's 1 of 5 from 3. If they want to win game 2, and granted, it's a very, very tall task for the Warriors to come out and, get past the Ewing effect that they had, the second half of game 1 where they were able to add on to that lead and then hold on and win by 11 points. But Podziemski goes 1 of 7, gives you 3 points. You can expect a better outing from Brandon. You're going to need it. Buddy scoring 24. Maybe that's just who he is. More than likely, he's not going to go 5 of 8 from 3, and he's not going to play 40 minutes and turn it over 0 times. But here's the one that I point to, man. I point to Jimmy Butler. He had 20 in the game, but he went 7 of 20. He only got to the free throw line 6 times. He's a merchant. He can get there 14 times with ease. So that's kind of my wild card. You heard Jimmy say, we're going to hold down the fort. And when Jimmy talks, I listen and I believe what he says. And let's not forget, playoff Jimmy is real. And there is some pressure now on him to kind of take over. And whether it's making the right plays through facilitating at all times and finding the open man, or just taking over. And you heard the leadership in the post-game presser with Buddy. He's kind of coaching Buddy up on what to do. Buddy was cutting towards the basket, and he's like, dude, you're bringing your defender down low to me when I have one-on-one coverage on the block. You're not a cutter, Buddy. Like, stand out there and use your gravity to let me go to work on the inside. So that's the big thing to me, is I do think that we are sleeping a little bit on how good Jimmy Butler is. Yes, you lose Steph Curry, but you still have the number 1 defense in the NBA since Jimmy's arrival. And you have someone that can give you 32 points seriously. And the biggest thing for me is I'm just not that impressed with the Wolves. Everyone is on this team. Everyone is so high on Minnesota. I think Houston's better than Minnesota. And granted, Steph Curry goes out against Houston. It's probably a little bit of a different story, but you have the 1-0 lead. And there is a chance that you could get him back for potentially game 5. So the way that I look at it, it's just get 1 of the next 3, man. Get 1 of the next 3 with 2 of them at home.
Oh, I wish it were that simple, though. I mean, yes, definitely yes. But also, I think the best case scenario, best case scenario is obviously they sweep them. Steph never has to set foot on the court again. But I feel like the best realistic case scenario is getting back 2-2. That puts you in, because winning 3 in a row, coming back from down 3-1, it doesn't happen that often for a reason. So many things have to go right. So many things have to go wrong for the other team. And while it does happen, I don't know. I think you need more than that. And I can see Buddy Hield going off for 20, 30 points, something like he did in game 7 again in the last series against the Rockets. I could see a lot of things happening for one game. I don't know that this defense is good enough to hold them below 90 like they did last game 3 times in a row. I just don't. Yes, it's a number 1 defense, but this holding a playoff NBA team below 90 points is very, very hard to do. And I don't care if you're talking about the Grizzlies or who was the 8th seed over there in these. It doesn't matter, man. Like holding a playoff caliber NBA team below 90 points is just tricky regardless of how good your defense is. And then scoring more than 90 points, relying on 8 from Kaminga and maybe 5 from GP2 and maybe, 12 from Pajemski. Like these points have to come from somewhere. And while playoff Jimmy is a thing, Jimmy Butler, when he took the Heat to the finals, he had Bam and he had an emerging Tyler Hero. I don't know that there's another player on this team that's at the level of either of those guys that he has now that Steph Curry's out. Now, the defense is obviously going to be better. I want to see more Looney personally because I feel like the thing that Looney did that nobody else on the Warriors could do was he got rebounds against Gobert. He bossed up on Gobert and
Clogged up the paint.
Yeah, and he did. And so there are things you can do, man, but I don't know. Do you really see the Warriors either A, get another 87-point game or 2 87-point games out of the next 3, or B, scoring, because they only scored 99. They did not hit the century mark. They scored 99 and had anomalous performances by at least 2 guys.
Yeah, the crazy thing is the Warriors actually had a decent record this year without Steph Curry on the floor. Every other year in Curry's career, Steph isn't on the floor. There's no number 30. It's just about an automatic loss. But there were some games this year. I mean, Houston, there was a game against the Oklahoma City Thunder that went down to the last possession earlier in the season. Warriors won some decent games and were competitive in other games without Steph on the floor. Granted, offensively, it comes down to that math problem. If you're not getting big nights from Pajemski and Buddy Hield, then it's done. Like you need a big night from both those guys. One may not be enough. And if it is one of them, it's got to be 25 plus because math is the thing that I keep bringing up. It is going to be tough to score 100 points without the 30 that you're getting from Steph on a given night. Let's talk about the physicality of the series. Doesn't feel like that of Houston
at all.
Apparently, though, Chris Finch thinks it's pretty physical one way. We're talking about that coming up on Locked On Warriors. All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork, UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena. And with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60% for concerts, comedy, theater, etc. And the all-in-one pricing means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, Shomari Block back with me. The Warriors, man. So Steve Kerr, when asked about their survival plan without Steph Curry, he said, quote, "We think we have the best defense in the league." And that's been proven over the last couple of months. Wolves head coach Chris Finch thinks a little bit differently. He said, quote, "They do a lot of fouling, holding, shoving, pushing, and tackling of Gobert. The Wolves have submitted the tape to league officials to review," Finch said. Steve Kerr responded to these comments saying, "Well, they're bear hugging Steph. They could have called 6 fouls. I've got my complaints too. We all do. I'm getting ready to send my own clips to the league." Pajemski said it's the playoffs. We just had to go through the Rockets. Rudy's a foot taller than me. What do you want me to do? And then Kevon Looney said, "Last series, I feel like it was way worse than anything I did last game. It's the playoffs. I'm going to grab and push until they call it. Rudy's a great rebounder. Randall, everybody's got their own tricks that they do." The physicality of the Golden State Warriors, it's something that we've overlooked a little bit this season. And I mentioned it in one of our pre-series shows, the bending but not breaking mentality that the Warriors have. Like, it seems like teams get into the paint and cut into the teeth of the defense pretty easily. We saw Ant get in there quite a few times in the first half, but there's just always pressure around the rim to the point where nothing is easy, even 3-footers. We saw it with Şengün. Why is that the Warriors consistently are so good at affecting shots that should not be that difficult in the grand scheme of things?
I mean, Draymond Green, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. Draymond Green, I remember when he was on Şengün so many times, and Şengün, like that kid, oh my God, he's got moves on top of moves. Now, he's not quick, but he handles the ball and he has the spin and the counter and all that kind of stuff. And then, he gets up and he just drops that thing in. But Draymond Green, despite being basically a big shooting guard, man, he's the guy. He's the guy that does that. I can't really say that. I mean, I remember at least a couple of times in the last game, I think Gobert wound up on Pat Spencer a couple of times, right? And it's like, here, little guy to be. You remember that cartoon where there was a big dog and the little dog, and then the big dog just put his hand on the little dog's head and he's sitting there swinging. Like, that's Pat Spencer. And honestly, that's Pajemski. That's, you name it, man. Gobert is not even that skilled, but he is big and he can shoot over you and without really much effort. And Draymond Green is not much bigger than Pajemski, really, if you really think about it. Like, we're talking about an inch, but he knows how to. I don't even know how to describe it, but you watch Draymond Green, the way he shifted. Draymond Green doesn't get a lot of credit for being athletic because he's not quick and explosive. But the way he moves his feet when he's defending, it's like a dancing bear.
A dancing bear. I love that, man. Kaminga. It's a name that I honestly didn't think I was going to bring up a ton for the rest of the season, because I just thought, like, with the Warriors rotation, it'd be a few spot minutes here and there, but we weren't going to expect a big role from Jonathan Kaminga. That's completely changed. I mean, you need scoring, and Jonathan Kaminga has shown the ability, when he's confident, to at least put the ball in the bucket. I mean, he scored 30 multiple times off the bench this season. He can get you 20 pretty consistently when he is there. Unfortunately, he has not been there. He's a young player, and whatever has happened since the return from the ankle injury, it's not been good. Like, he hasn't been playing great basketball. I will say this. There was a stretch of about 2 minutes in the last game where he knocked down a three. He, I guess a Wolves player spun into him, and he basically tied it up, and it went the other way. And then right after that, he cut to the basket where Draymond was, looking for an open teammate. And if Kaminga would have sat out there and waited for the skip pass and a deep three, like, Steve Kerr would have just obliterated him in the tape session. He's like, dude, why didn't you cut to the basket? The fact that he did that right there, and I know it's it's given someone a little too much credit. Like that was the smart basketball play to do. But maybe, just maybe, he's gaining a little real-time confidence. And Kaminga's he's always been one of those guys to where when you kind of hand him the keys and tell him like it's your time to shine, that's when he plays his best. When you put him in a role where he comes off the bench and only plays a few minutes here and there, I mean, realistically, you should always be ready. You should always be ready to come in for 5-6 minutes and give your team a solid boost, which is what a lot of Warriors fans don't realize. Like me and Kolsky get into this all the time. He's like, "Oh, Steve Kerr's jerking him around. He's not playing here and there." And it's like, dude, he's getting minutes. Like he's getting 7, he's getting 9, he's getting 10. He's not looking good in those minutes, and that matters. Like, why can Pat Spencer come in for 4 minutes on 2 months of rest and give you quality minutes, but not Kaminga? But this is one of those games, man, where I would not be shocked with how crazy this season has gone if all of a sudden the narrative shifted to Jonathan Kaminga's back, he can score, and he puts up like a 15, 20-point game. Am I crazy saying that?
I mean, no, in the sense that anything can happen, but I wouldn't rely on that. That's not, you know,
You kind of have to, man. I mean, you don't have a ton of options, unfortunately. Like that's just what happens when Curry's on the bench.
This is kind of just my, like, it's a guess, I guess you want to call it. I think the reason Kaminga doesn't get to play is because, for instance, okay, if you put Kaminga on a crappy team, said, here's the ball, Jonathan Kaminga, do whatever you want, I think he probably is a 20, 25 point a game guy on a team that consistently doesn't make the playoffs and kind of sucks, but he'd be a star. I think he's that kind of player. I think that the Warriors play smart basketball, and I think that it's not, and I don't think that it's like an intellect thing where he can't figure this out. I just think that he needs to be in a more free-flowing, give me the ball, ISO, do things like that. And he's just not, his game isn't geared towards doing what, and I think that's why he's on the outs, as people like to say, in the locker room, just because he doesn't fit what the Warriors do. I mean, his athleticism is off the charts. His shot it's not great, but it's decent, and he's streaky. His ball handling is, you know what I remember? I remember 3 seasons ago when I think Wiseman was on the team, and they had Jonathan Kaminga running the point in the G League to see. And I don't think they ever wanted him to be a point guard or even a shooting guard. I think they were trying to get him to see the court the way that he needs to succeed in this offense. And I just don't think that he has that. And Podziemski, for better or worse, there's a lot of Kaminga people out there. Most of the Kaminga people I talk to, they're like, but Podziemski, but I'm like, but Podziemski gets it. And Jonathan Kaminga, for whatever reason, he just doesn't get it. And hell, I mean, he's a free agent next year, and I could see him going to I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about any teams, but one of those bottom tier teams that might play in places like Oregon. I don't know. I could see him going to a team like that. And again, 20, 25 points a game, 8 rebounds. He looks good, makes an all-star game. Is that team any better because of what he's doing? And that's the thing. And I don't know that a 25-point game from Jonathan Kaminga guarantees victory. The same way a 25-point game or a 20-point game from Draymond Green would. You know what I'm saying? Like it's he can score and he can do things, but what happens to everybody else on the court while he's doing these things?
Yeah, and they'd have to cause a lot of havoc and let Kaminga rather get out in transition, because that's when he's playing his best basketball, is when he's out in the open floor. He could be a terror in the open floor, but the half court with him recently, he just hasn't been comfortable. Like, how many times has he been stripped on his straight line drives to the basket? Or even the other day, I know he was bailed out on a foul, but he pump faked like 7 times before finally they hit him on the arm. And whether it was a foul, it's debatable, but it wasn't like a clean looking, like, nice job getting that foul called on you, JK. It was more like, thank God, like that could have been bad. 6 pump fakes in a row or whatever it was. But I don't know. I seem to think about a week ago that his story was written in Golden State, and this this is just who he was here, and maybe it could work out somewhere else a little bit better, like you said, when someone hands him the keys. But Steve Kerr clearly wasn't going to hand him the keys, and I don't think he's going to now, but he's going to get minutes. Like they played 12 in the last contest, and as great as Pat Spencer has been in some of his mop minutes, as nice as Guy Santos can be in 4 or 5 minutes, grabbing some rebounds, Post can knock down some threes. Moses Moody's been giving you nothing offensively for a long time. Like, you need someone that can put the ball in the basket. And we at least know that Kaminga has done that. It's in stretches this season. Now,
But I also feel like
winning games during those stretches, not really. Like, he was scoring in the winter months when the Warriors were losing consistently and could not win 2 games in a row to save their lives. But he can put the ball in the basket. We've seen it before. The question becomes the confidence. How shot is it? Can he get it back? And how much burn is Steve Kerr going to give him?
I'm more in the Moses Moody hype, man. Like, the two people that I would like to see, not even that I would like to see, the two people that I feel like could be X factors, and one of them, for whatever reason, he's absolutely just not playing, and I don't think he'll play. So this is a me thing. That Steve Kerr disagrees, and he's a coach, and I'm sitting here talking about this kind of stuff. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. But I want to see Moses Moody get a little bit of a better shot, because unlike Kaminga, Moses Moody, one, I feel like he defends better, like he's a smarter defender at least. And two, I feel like the offense flows when he's in it, as where Kaminga can kind of muddy things up. And Buddy Hield and Moody kind of do the same thing. But I also feel that I also like Moody with the ball in his hands going towards the basket way better than I like Buddy Hield in the same situation. I got to feel at this point Buddy Hield needs to, like, catch the ball, dribble no more than 6 times, and then pass it or shoot it. And the other person who, again, I doubt we're going to see, but I think because of Gobert, because of Randall, because of the size of this team, and because Kevon Looney might not be a 30-minute-a-game guy, I'd like to see more Trace Jackson Davis.
Might not be a 30-minute guy. I promise you, Shomari, if Kevon Looney plays 30 minutes in this game, go ahead and send me your Venmo, and I'll send over about $5,000. How's that
Well, I'm
sound?
saying TDJ, man. What do you give me? TDJ, 5-10 extra minutes, man, just to be big, just to kind of rough up Gobert a little bit. What do you give me for that?
TJD, but
TJD.
sometimes they mix together. I get it. It's tough. But no, I mean, Steve Kerr he pulls out random lineups from time to time. I mean, we saw Braxton Key burn in the last game, I believe. Actually, it didn't look like he got in there, but I know at one point the broadcaster said Braxton Key's heading over to the
he was at the scoring table.
Yeah, well, never went in there. But yeah, Moses Moody has not been scoring it lately. He's been missing open threes pretty badly. And we know that Moses Moody has somewhat of a stroke to where he can knock down a couple open looks, and that's what the Warriors are going to need. They're going to need Buddy Hield. We're going to talk about Hield and Jimmy Butler's relationship. That is coming up on Locked On Dubs.
Oh, God. Okay.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at OpenPhone. Let me tell you a little bit about OpenPhone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or a service provider. If the person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need OpenPhone. It's the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. Lets you manage business calls and text from a single app. You got a shared inbox feature that's a game changer. Your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat. And they got an AI agent that handles after-hour calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss a customer. OpenPhone is offering my listeners 20% off their first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Man, it's funny because on a show probably 2 or 3 months ago, I brought up that Jimmy Jimmy Heald. I mean, at this point, you may as well call him Jimmy Heald, man. I mean, they're like stepbrothers, but they're great at the podium together. But I brought up that Buddy was just going to get on Jimmy's nerves with his personality and just the way that he plays, a little bit reckless at times, and Jimmy being the coach that he is. I thought that it would be, it could turn into a little bit of an interesting dynamic. It's definitely turned into an interesting dynamic, but in a completely different way than I thought. It legit seems like they're best friends out there. I mean, they're messing with each other at all times. And Buddy's been playing a lot better since Jimmy has joined this team, specifically in the playoffs. Buddy Hield, man, how shocked are you at the way that he's been playing? Because it's not just been the shooting. He's been protecting the ball. And let's not forget, he had a main assignment guarding Anthony Edwards and did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, is he playing well, or is he playing well by Buddy Hield standards? Because that's the thing. If Jimmy Butler was doing what Buddy Hield would do, I feel like we might be a little disappointed, right? I don't want to knock him. I appreciate what he's doing. I appreciate those points. I appreciated the defense he's played in the last 2 games. I appreciate that. I don't know that I'm excited about what the future is going to be with Buddy Hield in terms of he can be more than what he's been, which is an outstanding historic shooter. I remember when he was with the Kings in his first couple of seasons, the GM of the Kings said he's as good as Steph Curry, and everybody's like, and that turned out to not be true, obviously. But he is second best shooter on this team, right? Definitely. And he's streaky and he can get hot. He kind of reminds me of a poor man's Klay Thompson right now, and I think that fits because what was Klay? 3-and-D, and he's 3-and-D, and
you don't need it for 3 years, right, Shomari? You just need it for a couple more weeks. You need Buddy to be feeling it, and you need this cycle that he has because it always flips at some point and he gets cold. He is so streaky. You just need him to be spot shooting. You need the Jimmy Butler connection that those two have to continue to where Butler can find them for open spot up threes. And you've seen the percentages when he's not dribbling, because off the dribble, he can still knock them down, but the numbers, and we saw it in the 3-point contest when he buried like a record in one of the rounds. Like Buddy Hield, when he has just catch and shoot 3, is just about money when he is feeling it, and he is feeling it right now. And the question becomes, like, how long can he do this for? Can he do this for the entire Minnesota series and put the cape on his back and really take this team across the line? Because I'm telling you, if you get this 5, 6, 7 3-point performance from Buddy Hield consistently, you're going to win. The stats back it up. Jimmy Butler's that good. Draymond's that good defensively. I'm telling you, a role player will play better than they have the last few games. You're not going to get, bad games from Post, from Peyton, from Looney, or not from Looney, but from Podziemski, from Kaminga. Like, someone's going to step up at a certain point and knock down some shots. Specifically, I would think the guy's Brandon Podziemski. So, look, if you get another 25-point Buddy Hield performance in game 2, and I know most folks out there are chalking this thing up as an L, I think you can hang around, truly.
Now, that's the one thing I'm not going to do. I know for a fact they can win one of the next 3 games, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was the next game. It wouldn't surprise me if it was game 3 or game 4 either, just because of the way things work. And I honestly, I kind of feel like you said a number of guys. We were talking about Kaminga. I talked about Moody. we talked about, we have Buddy Hield, we have Podziemski. Only one of those guys need to step up per win, because, like you said, Jimmy Butler he's going to Butler, man.
It's one typically, right? It's when Steph Curry's on the floor, you need one of them. Now it's going to be 2. You need 2 to step up, or else, again, the math ain't mathin' with some of the averages that players have. Because let's just run through it real quick, Shomari. Let's do a little experiment here. Draymond Green, who had 18 last game, let's say he gives you 11. Let's say Jimmy Butler gives you 30. That's 41. Let's say Buddy Hield gives you 10. That's 51. Let's say Podziemski gives you 8. That's 59. Let's say Kaminga gives you 6. That's 65. Looney gives you 2. That's 67. Santos gives you 2. That's 69. Post gives you 6. That's 75. Peyton gives you 6. That's 81. Then it's just Moody and Spencer. You getting 19 points from Moody and Spencer to break 100, or are you going to hold the Wolves to 88 again? Like, that is what you do in this experiment here, losing the 30 points that Steph seemingly scores every single night, or the easy shots that his teammates get just from him being on the floor and all 5 defenders having to really focus on what Curry's doing at all times.
Yeah, but you also have to remember that within those 30 points, Steph Curry's taking 20 shots, however many shots. So those totals are with Steph Curry on the court as well. So you take Steph Curry off the court and you get a few extra points out of everybody, hypothetically speaking. If we're just talking math, right? That's one dynamic. So it's not a matter of if someone can put up 20, it's just who's going to do it. We know Jimmy's one, but somebody else is going to put up 20. Somebody else, like I could realistically see with let's say Steph takes 20 shots a game, which is about what he takes, to low 20s, high teens, right? You take those 20 shots, you give 5 more shots to Hill, Podziemski, Kaminga, and I don't know, Quentin Post, who cares, right? Okay. Geek Santos. Those totals, that 6 could be 8 or 9. That 10 could be 13 to 15. And then you get where you're trying to get. It's just a matter of efficiency. And the game that Podziemski had in game 1, if Buddy Hield doesn't do 24 and Draymond doesn't score 18, 20, okay, then they lose, because Podziemski is the third option, I'd say, in terms offensively. And without Steph, he's probably the second option, at least so far as I'm concerned. Maybe Buddy Hield second, who knows, right? But that's not the thing. The only thing that scares me is that
the thing that scares me is Ant just got called out by his head coach and he's due for a 40 burger.
Well, just the thing that just scares me, and I know you started off this thing saying, hey, they've been okay without Steph Curry, but just, you're not okay. You're not okay. No one's okay without Steph Curry, right? It's just not, because realistically speaking, like I said, they beat him 3-1.
Yes. Long term, they're not okay, but it's just, can they win 1 of 3? Can they win 1 of 3, and does Curry get cleared in a week to where he can play game 5? And then you're okay. It's 2-2 going into Minnesota, and steal that game, and you feel pretty good about where you're at. And I find it hard to believe, even without Curry, that Minnesota would rattle off 3 straight against this team. I just think there's too much fight in the Warriors, and that Jimmy Butler is still one of the best players on the floor. You know, like Anthony Edwards, best player on the floor, right? Who's the second best player? It's Jimmy Butler, and it's not even close. Don't give me Naj Reid. Don't give me Julius Randle. Come on, it's Jimmy Butler.
Hey, wait, no, I was when he was with the Knicks, man. Okay, I was like, oh, if we had a guy like that on this team, but that was quite some time ago. So here's my question to you, though, right? So let's just say, worst case scenario, we hit, what is that, next Wednesday? Steph comes back, they're down 1-3, 3-1. How do you feel about that?
I feel terrible. I mean, anytime you're down 3-1, you feel terrible. Is it over? No, it's not over. But yeah, I would not feel good whatsoever, because that means Minnesota really figured it out and took it to you. Because as good as Steph is, I think the defense for the Warriors is good enough to win 1 of these next 3. And that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting 2-2 heading into game 5. And if you can sneak out game 2 somehow, I mean, put this thing on ice, man. You're feeling great. Great.
So what do you think the odds are also? Because again, I've kind of become an expert on hamstrings, right? So I read 3 to 8 days with a grade 1, and then grade 2 is a partial tear, blah, blah. And the full tear is like, God, you'll never be the same again. What do you think, though? What do you think the odds are that Steph comes back for game 4?
Game
they
4.
They said at least a week. They said at least a week.
Yeah, game 4-0. He's been ruled out per Slater of game 4. Game 5, I think he'd be pushing it. The plan is he's going to stay in Minnesota with the team, begin the rehab process with Rick Celebrini on the road. Team's going to fly back to the Bay Area after the game on Thursday. It is Curry's first soft tissue injury since the adductor strain in November of 2018. So I don't know. We'll have to see how he heals there. But I think in terms of how quickly they rush him back, it's going to 100% be determined on how they look these next couple of games. I mean, if the Warriors are up, 3-1 heading into game 5, you're not bringing them back, right? If
No, absolutely. Yeah.
And here's another spin zone. When the Warriors won their last championship in 22, you got a pretty healthy and pretty fresh Steph Curry entering the playoffs because he had that foot injury. So if you can somehow sneak out of if you can just kick the Wolves' ass and basically say, like, Minnesota is not good. With or without Steph Curry, we're better than this team. You saw it in game 1, being able to hang on to the lead. They can't handle this defense. They can't handle the physicality. Chris Finch is sending all the tapes to the New York offices because he thinks we're mauling them defensively. If you can get that, then you feel great about the potential next series against the Nuggets or the Oklahoma City Thunder, at least as good as you could possibly feel against one of those two teams, because you're getting a fully healthy and a good thumb on Steph Curry. So that would be the spin zone in a perfect world. But unfortunately, this world's not perfect, and we're going to have to see the Warriors without Steph Curry in game 2. Who's going to step up? I brought up Kaminga. Shomari seems to think that Moody may go for 25 in tomorrow's game. So that's the big storyline. Someone is going to take those points that Curry would typically score. Will it be healed again? Big question to talk about, and we will break it down after the game on Thursday night. Game 2 from Target Center. Shomari Block, good to see you, my man.
Good to see you, man. This is good, man. Yeah, it's been good to see you, man. It's been fun. Brings back old memories.
You know it. We'll talk soon. This is Locked On Warriors, free and available wherever you get your audio podcasts.